Hello, my name is Jose, and this is my brother, Jose. And this is my brother, Jose. And this is my cousin, also my brother, Jose. And my brother-in-law, Jose. And these are my sons, Jose, 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 Jose. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Ransom Reviews after several weeks off. I am still alive, just melted my brain a little bit after marking too many essays. Today, we are going to look at 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel García Márquez, not actually written by Jose, believe it or not. This book is difficult to explain. It's really wild. I was smiling while reading, slightly confused, baffled, grossed out, couldn't look away, laughing and shocked. All of these expressions were on my face. All of these emotions were coursing through me as I read. This book is like a living creature. It's got its own irregular pulse, an entity brimming with the blurry confusion and spontaneous specifics of a dream. In a way, it reminded me a little bit of Philip K. Dick's The Three Stigmata of Palmer Eldritch. It's a primal experience, the latter fearful and hallucinatory, the former whimsical and childlike in its absurdity and wonder, yet scandalously mature at times. Seriously, it could alternately be titled 100 Years of Incest. You've got a girl who eats earth, a 200-year-old man, strange and possibly magic gypsies, a priest who levitates by eating chocolate, a man whose physical gifts allow him to make a living from the graces of the opposite sex, invisible doctors, a girl who literally ascends to heaven, and everyone wants to either marry or have sex or both with kids or their own family. Yikes. And despite its often graphic and dark nature, it also metes out moments of delightful whimsy where you can't help but smirk at its delicious weirdness. So yeah, that's 100 Years of Solitude. At times, I felt like I was reading a mashup of a Salvador Dali painting, a Jodorowsky film, and an episode of Pee-wee's Playhouse. It's mildly hallucinatory. It's wildly creative. Honestly, the descriptions of sexual acts alone are incomparably unique, mesmerizing, and disturbing, and might be a reason to either pick this book up or stay away from it by itself. From page 95, she had to make a supernatural effort not to die when a startlingly regulated cyclonic power lifted her up by the waist and despoiled her of her intimacy with 3 slashes of its claws and quartered her like a bird. She managed to thank God for having been born before she lost herself in the inconceivable pleasure of that unbearable pain, splashing in the steaming marsh of the hammock, which absorbed the explosion of blood like a blotter. Not exactly 50 Shades of Grey. Oh, brother. Yeah, and I should probably mention that that scene was between a brother and his adopted sister. I hope you don't mind graphic incest because there's plenty more where that came from. Like on page 403, a great commotion immobilized her in her center of gravity, planted her in her place, and her defensive will was demolished by the irresistible anxiety to discover what the orange whistles and the invisible globes on the other side of death were like. She barely had time to reach out her hand and grope for the towel to put a gag in between her teeth so that she would not let out the cat howls that were already tearing at her insides. Oh My God. This was between aunt and nephew. So not as bad or worse. I don't even know anymore. Incest is a major theme here, along with a deja vu sense of repeating characters and situations that reminded me a little bit of the hit Netflix series Dark. Everything is cyclical. Um, everyone is everyone is related, as you can see. Can a person marry his own aunt? It's not me asking. That's actually a line from the book. He not only can do that, a soldier answered him, but we're fighting this war against the priests so that a person can marry his own mother. I don't, maybe there's something wrong with me. I don't know why I enjoyed this book so much. All I can say is that at least I'm not alone. So it's not like I read it and I discovered that I am just a sick human being. There is a lot of people out there who really, really love this book. There's also a lot of people out here who hate it. And I really can understand both feelings. As I mentioned before, this book is disturbing. If the two examples above aren't concrete enough as evidence, how about the young girl with skin peeling off her back from having to sleep with 70 men a night in order to pay her grandmother back for accidentally burning down their house? Thankfully, it's not all dark. There are just some very strange passages and entertaining passages. I really enjoyed this one on page 135, following the description of a magically ordinary blood trail. As soon as Jose Arcadio closed the bedroom door, the sound of a pistol shot echoed through the house. A trickle of blood came out under the door, crossed the living room, went out into the street, continued on in a straight line across uneven terraces, went down steps, climbed over curbs, passed along the street of the Turks, turned a corner to the right and another to the left, made a right angle at the Buendia house, went in under the closed door, crossed through the parlor, hugging the wall so as not to stain the rugs, went on to the other living room, made a wide curve to avoid the dining table, went along the porch with the begonias, and passed without being seen under Amaranta's chair as she gave an arithmetic lesson to Aureliano Jose, and went through the pantry and came out in the kitchen where Ursula was getting ready to crack 36 eggs to make bread. As much as I wanted to shorten that quote, I just think that the audacity of how long it is what was so special about it. And so I wanted to include the whole thing. And there are just dozens of passages like that strewn throughout this book that are just so weird, so deliciously weird, and yet intricately written that it really, resonates with you. It's just different and unique. Here's another one that really stuck with me. It's from page 106 and 107, and I'm pretty sure that this is where Dos Equis got their most interesting man in the world ad campaign from. Colonel I can't say this name. Colonel Aureliano Buendia organized 32 armed uprisings and lost them all. He had 17 male children by 17 different women, and they were exterminated one after the other on a single night before the oldest one had reached the age of 35. He survived 14 attempts on his life, 73 ambushes, and a firing squad. He lived through a dose of strychnine in his coffee that was enough to kill a horse. This goes on for another page and a half, but I think you get the picture. Now, you might be thinking at this point in the review, well, what about the story? You've written all of these words and nothing about the plot. I'm not really sure that there is a plot. I know Goodreads, what does Goodreads say? It says something about this book is about the Buendia family. Yeah, for sure. And chronicles the irreconcilable conflict between the desire for solitude and the need for love. I guess so. I didn't get that at all, to be honest with you. I don't know what the plot is. I don't know what the point of this book existing is. All the characters kind of just sort of melt together. And yeah, there's no big reveals or anything. And normally these are the kind of things that would make me really, really not like a book. I don't know how he gets away with it because I really, really enjoyed this book. So I do think if you want plot and purpose, you will flounder with this book. It's really just a bizarre experience based around a magically real world with fantastic prose and a cycling and recycling of characters, all associated with Jose and characters that are Jose, and good luck telling them apart. The timelines and the ages are liquid and rubber, but there will always be several Jose's floating around. And the experience had me talking to myself at points. So wait, if he's Jose Aureliano and his dad is Jose Aureliano and they have similar characteristics, then how do I tell them apart? Yes. Okay, so these boys were twins and got mixed up when they were young because they were so similar, but then they weren't, but now they are again. So which one is this now? Exactly. But not everyone is Jose. There's also Amaranta, who is hilarious. She sabotages her sister's wedding, drives the suitor to suicide, leads on and rejects several other men, grooms and messes around with her adopted son before rejecting him too, and disowns her daughter for being too beautiful. Her character transcends misogyny. It's literally high comedy. My enjoyment of all of this was heightened because, like as I said before, I was just a bit shocked at how much I liked it. A lot of the things that are in this book, weird language, aimless plot, confusing characters, are things that would normally really aggravate me. And yet I found myself enthralled and entertained throughout. But again, there are some people out there who really hate this book because it has a reputation as being this like one of the best books ever written. It's on a lot of those lists, very, very highly regarded. And because of that, I think a lot of people come into this book with really, really high expectations, and it maybe just doesn't sit well with them. I would say the magical realism style is divisive for most readers, but just try it anyway because you might love it like I did. And no worries, if you don't, you'll just have a child with the tail of a pig. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this review. Let me know. Don't let me know. And I'll see you next time on Ransom Reviews.